Hey everyone, this is Mike.
And this is Brian of Fellowship Home Loans.
Many things make us different, but what do our clients say?
We can close your loan in weeks, not months like other lenders. They love our low rates and, of course, our personalized one-on-one approach.
Call us today at 800-804-SAVE or online at fellowshiphomeloans.com.
Welcome to Are You Real? The Psyche of Success, helping you break through the mental roadblocks that keep you from achieving your dreams. Through direct lessons, as well as our insightful dialogue with industry thought leaders and influencers, we can unlock your full potential to the authentic you. Now please welcome your host, Jody Holland.
Hey guys, Jody Holland here, a part of the Are You Real podcast, talking about the psyche of success. I'm excited about the show that we've got today. I've got John Clark with me, and he's going to tell us what it was like to be a leader in the Boy Scouts of America and the things that he did to find success. So if you haven't followed me, make sure you look for me on Twitter at Jody N. Holland, but also make sure that you look for all the other hosts of the Are You Real podcast, including John Fuller, the original podcaster in Are You Real. All right, I'm with John Clark. He was the general manager of the Boy Scouts of America out at Philmont Scout Ranch, also the director of High Adventure, so that was Florida Sea Base, Ely, Minnesota Canoe Base, and pretty much anywhere else they can make you travel. Correct, John?
That's close.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to be talking about what success means to you. You've had a great career, and by the way, as a side note, John is also the very best father-in-law that I've ever had. The only one I've ever had, thank goodness, as well. But we've got a great relationship. So the first question I've got for you, John, is what's a quote that you've always liked as a leader?
You know, quotes in life, there's so many things you could stick out there that mean something to you at certain points in your life. I guess I have lived by several. The one that has probably stuck closest to home would be the one that I used during my tenure, particularly at Philmont, and that is a job that's worth doing is worth doing well. And as I understand it, I think Teddy Roosevelt is the originator of that. I know several other people have used it. But I have lots of them that I've liked to use. Most people that know me know I'm kind of a John Wayne fan, and I wouldn't even start quoting all of those. but a lot of them meant something to me at different points in my life.
Yeah, I grew up on John Wayne and I loved what the Duke stood for. My granddad used probably a variation of that quote. It's probably where he got it, but if you've got time to do it twice, you had time to do it right the first time.
True.
And I think you're right. I think there's so many people in this world that when they do a job, they don't necessarily do the best job, they just do a job. And I know just from my own experience as an employer, I just want them to do it right the first time. You don't want to have to mess with the cleanup of things going wrong. So I define success kind of in my own way. I think we all universally define failure as the inability to meet our goals, but what is your definition of success? And I would imagine that changes through life as well.
I think it does change through life. I spent 38 years with the Boy Scouts of America and loved every minute of it. And a lot of people always ask, how did you measure your success in that career? When I was in a local council, it was like, well, how many youth did we get to go to summer camp? How many young men received the rank of Eagle Scout? So it kind of goes, with, again, what's going on in that particular period of your life. When I look back over the past 38 years, I've had lots of wonderful successes, but probably the most important thing to be successful is to be happy in what you do and know that you were happy when it was all said and done. I look back now after that period of time, and I am happy with what happened and what I did, where I went, the people I met, and the things that I was a part of.
Yeah, I think that when you find your joy or find your fit and your happiness in what you're doing, to me, that's when you actually leave a legacy. Because I think there's so many people just chasing the almighty dollar, but they forget that in the end, it's how we feel, not what we own, that ends up mattering.
Very true. Again, we talk about quotes, and some people measure their success by the amount of money they have in the bank. Hopefully, I've got enough to survive on and move forward and do the things that I still want to do with the rest of my life. And that makes me happy also.
You know, I love camping. I loved camping as a kid, but you and Janice really took that to the next level on really creating a passion. And you lived what you taught with the Boy Scouts, that you love the outdoors, you love the adventure, but you used every opportunity as a chance to invest in somebody else. And so I know you've mentored people throughout your life quite a bit. I'm going to go off script just a little bit, but you know, what's one of the lessons that you were taught by someone who invested in you that made a difference in your career?
I think one of the most important things is just be yourself, and that's tough. We have so many things that we're challenged with today about being politically correct and how we do this and how we do that and who we're going to offend and how we're going to deal with that, etc. But I think it's just so important to be yourself. If you try to be something you're not going to be successful. You're going to be unhappy, and that just makes everybody around you unhappy.
Yeah, over the years doing consulting, human resource work, I've run into a number of people that you can tell that every day they wake up, they just go, dang it, I'm back again. Because they're in the job that somebody told them they should do, or they're doing things that they think society wants as opposed to what's right and what they know in their heart is the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
So I think that's great advice. We all have tough times. I know I've had a number of tough times throughout my career and haven't made it 38 years yet in a single place, but I'm at 19. So what are some of the things that help you push through when times are tough? Because I know the Boy Scouts dealt with a lot of turmoil, and as a leader at the national level, you dealt with a lot of being in the middle of that. So what were some of the things that you did for yourself that helped you push through that?
Oh, boy, kind of a tough one, but I can honestly say that probably wasn't a day that went by that I didn't get up of a morning, look in the mirror, and knowing what was going to be out there, what was going to happen, because some days I just knew deep down what phone call I was going to get or what email I was going to get. And honestly and truly, I would just simply say, Lord, you're going to have to take my hand, lead me through this, and help me do the right thing, the thing that people would be proud of, the thing that would be satisfactory to most, knowing that you can't make everybody happy in everything that happens in life. But I've put a lot of faith and trust in the Lord in my life, and truthfully, He has never failed me.
Yeah, I think that's one of the really critical keys, and I think that's fantastic advice, that when you wake up and you look yourself in the mirror, and that's the part I liked about what you said, is that when you look yourself in the mirror, you're seeing you trusting God. And so it goes beyond just a simple prayer of, God, I hope you got this, but it's I really do want to do the honorable thing, and I do want to do what is right, but you're looking at yourself while you're doing it. So I like that. I think I need to stare at myself in the mirror a little more often, not because I'm pretty, but because I need to remind myself of what it looks like to trust God. One of the pieces of advice that I got early on, and I really don't remember who gave me this, but somebody told me when I first went into business, if you can figure out what keeps people awake at night and then show them how to sleep through it, you can make a great living for the rest of your life. So I know each of us has things that bother us, and there's probably different points in your life of things that bothered you, but is there something that over the years has really just been one of those things that you wanted to figure out, how do I have peace with this, or how do I get past this keeping me awake at night? And then what was your secret? How'd you get past it?
Probably there was two things that kept me awake at night. Right now, nothing keeps me awake. Being retired, what can I say? You can sleep. You can sleep through most anything. But two things that always really worried me was knowing that I was working in the nonprofit world, and knowing that I had people that was depending upon me to make the right choices at the right time. Whether there was a speech asking for money to support what we were doing, whatever. Knowing that always scared me. was that, gosh, if I don't do this right, somebody's not going to get a paycheck, and that's not going to be good for anybody based on the families that was working for me and with me. So that was one thing. The second thing was knowing again that some of the risks that we take with the youth today, knowing that the possibility of losing one of them and picking up the phone and calling that parent and saying, I'm sorry, your son's not coming home from summer camp or whatever. So keeping kids safe, raising money to support a program that I thoroughly believed in was probably my two biggest challenges that I faced every day of my career. And again, how did I get through them? Basically the same way that I did before, was just saying, I have to put trust in somebody else, whether it's up above or beside me, to help make sure that those things happen right.
We get asked all the time, why Fellowship Home Loans? What makes us different? Hey everyone, this is Mike.
And this is Brian of Fellowship Home Loans.
Many things make us different, but what do our clients say?
We can close your loan in weeks, not months like other lenders. They love our low rates and, of course, our personalized one-on-one approach. And always, our clients get 2 months off from their mortgage payments and $1,000 back at closing.
Our motto itself, mortgage lending guided by Christian principles. Call us today at 800-804-SAVE or online at fellowshiphomeloans.com.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just get obsessed with trying to do everything on their own. So when we trust God and when we trust our teams, I can see how that would give us a little bit more peace. The Boy Scouts had some phenomenal programs. I worked for the Scouts for about 4 years. I went through Covey's time management training. The Scouts put me through that, professional development, level 1, 2, and 3. Some great success habits that I learned. What are some of the success habits that you learned through the years that you felt like were the most beneficial to you?
The most beneficial was learning how to set goals and try to figure out how you were going to get there. They weren't easy. There was always challenges. There were always outside factors that influence whatever you do. So you know that whatever goal you set, whatever it may be, there is going to be a path to get there, and how is the best path to do that. My example that I use, back in the late 90s, I was asked by our regional personnel director, where do you want to end your career? And I thought, wow, that's kind of a odd one here. I'm halfway through my career, so how do I answer this? Well, I thought about it for a little bit. A few days later, I wrote a letter to him, and I said, my desire, my goal, my ambition is to retire as the general manager at Philmont Scout Ranch and be the national director of High Adventure. And he laughed at me. He says, well, you and about 1,000 other folks want to do that. What makes you think that that's a reasonable, obtainable goal? And I said, because that's what I'm going to do. And years later, that's exactly where I ended my career. And I did everything that I could every day to make sure that I was doing and making the right decisions to reach that goal.
So what's cool about that is one of the things that I taught in an earlier podcast, I think it was actually the very first one that I did on the Are You Real group, I taught that you have to be consciously aware of being what you wish to be. So when you started seeing yourself as that person, that resolute vision that I will retire as the general manager at Philmont and the director of High Adventure, you already saw yourself there. And so it wasn't something that you hoped to be, which there's probably 999 other people that hope to be. It was something that you knew that's who you were. And so I think that's fantastic. That's part of that transformation principle that when you become a Christian, when you give your life to God, you become aware of being a different person, and therefore your behaviors flow out of that. So from that goal setting standpoint, I think it's great, because you have to see yourself as whatever end destination that you want, and then act as if. And you definitely always, as a leader, acted as if you were already in that position of influence. I never saw you as an authoritarian, just my compliment to you. I always saw you as that collaborator, that person that just wanted things to work the right way and really trusted the team to do that. Again, off script a little bit, but in my years that I worked for you, one of the things I always truly appreciated is that you really pushed hard on those critical achievements, those goals. And so that being the success habit, obviously you lived that, because every year we set what are the critical achievements we'll have for the next year. And then you said, okay, now how are you going to do that? And you made us write out the steps month by month and week by week, so that at the end of the fourth quarter, we're like, yeah, that was easy. Even though they were amazing goals, they seemed easy because you managed the process. And every quarter, you sat down and said, where are you at? What do we need to do different? And got us on track. So anyway, my compliment to you, with that being your success habit, it's also what you passed on. And I think probably the thing that me being in business has been the most beneficial is knowing how to set and manage a goal. So anyway, fantastic. So the last question I've got for you, and this is probably my favorite, and you've given some great lessons already, but what is the best lesson you've learned related to success in life that you could share with all of the people that are listening?
Most people think that they can do whatever that needs to be done by themselves. I think the first thing that everyone has to realize is there's no way that that's going to happen. That's not reasonable. Maybe an expectation you have of yourself, but I don't think anyone can get to where they want to be without having the support of a good team. Being a team player, being a part of the team, not just the leader of the team, but being a part of it, showing that you're willing to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And I can use a classic example that will make no sense to some, but on a Christmas Eve with a stopped-up sewer in a training center with people there depending upon you, I was in the bottom of the hole doing just exactly what I expected the guys to be doing. I know that's taking that to an extreme, but it's one of those that you've got to be willing to show that you will do everything possible to make that team successful and be a part of that team at the same time, and not be afraid to say, hey, I'm going to get my hands dirty too.
Yeah, and I think that's a very important lesson. There's a lot of leaders that don't want to get their hands dirty, and they sure wouldn't climb down in the hole trying to fix a problem like that. But when you are willing to put yourself out there, your team has no reason not to move forward. And so, again, going back to a lesson that I learned from you, when I worked my very first Boy Scout summer camp, I was in charge of aquatics and working the swimming pool in a camp with 300 kids coming every week, and only one location with flush toilets. So we had to clean those toilets 3 times a day, and so the first shift of cleaning the toilets was the worst. And one of the things you said is, hey, if you demonstrate it, they'll do it. And so we created a cleaning schedule, and I said, all right, I go first. Who's going with me? And so we had 2 people in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 2 in the evening that went around and cleaned the showers and the toilets and all that kind of stuff. Overnight, I don't know what Boy Scouts really do. I mean, I stayed up a number of times living at summer camp wondering, but man, they can be nasty. They're awesome, awesome kids, and I had so much fun. I was so blessed in the years that I got to work camps, but there was a lot to clean on the toilets in the morning. So I do applaud you for living exactly what you wanted from others, because I think that's what makes people want to follow the leader. It's when the leader isn't saying, go that way. The leader's the one that's out in front. One of the quotes that I always liked from you, and you may not even remember saying this, but it was when you were in Abilene. You said, sometimes to be the leader, you have to figure out which way your team is going and just run faster. And I've always remembered that sometimes the key is the team has already got a leadership direction. I just got to stay out in front, and that means I put in the effort, and I learn what I've got to learn, and I do what I've got to do to make sure that the team stays inspired. So anyway, great interview. Thank you, John Clark. This is Jody Holland with Are You Real? If you've not followed John Fuller, the original Are You Real podcaster, make sure and do that. Make sure you check back in 2 weeks for the next episode of The Psyche of Success, part of the Are You Real family. Can't wait to talk to you next time. Have an absolutely awesome rest of your day.
We get asked all the time, why Fellowship Home Loans? What makes us different? Hey everyone, this is Mike.
And this is Brian of Fellowship Home Loans.
Many things make us different, but what do our clients say?
We can close your loan in weeks, not months like other lenders. They love our low rates and, of course, our personalized one-on-one approach. And always, our clients get 2 months off from their mortgage payments and $1,000 back at closing.
Our motto itself, mortgage lending guided by Christian principles. Call us today at 800-804-SAVE or online at fellowshiphomeloans.com.
You've been listening to Are You Real? The Psyche of Success, and we know you found value in the show, so it's time to find even more value on our website. Be sure to visit areyoureal.org and click on Podcast for insights, free training videos, show notes, and more. Again, that's areyoureal.org and click on Podcast.